Ay, coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again, yeah. State your name, big been dope on flame. I just switched the lanes. Damn, he did it again. I just flipped the pain. Stripping and dipping in bass, slab on everything. Swimming, you sinking away, cause I got big racks coming. I put my low racks on it. I ain't skip past losses, I had to get back off it. See the fit lab on it until they whip my coffin. Money clip, I tossed it, I heard it's big bags on big bags on big bags coming. Coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again. Pump up the action. I'm active. If he never heard of been dope, he just napping. Jackson's off the rapping. Keep it on my body, I'm broke if you ask it. Don't gotta sell him, most Cialis flawless. Broken whips as long as it is foreign. Heard you want it cause the yam's enormous. What's in since she isn't gorgeous? Live my life, last name of Morgan Freeman. Trying to touch a forest, do not know when knocking on the door is. Came in, I came in, I came in. Did it like the Porsches coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again. Okay, alright. Coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10, 10, 10, yeah. Ay, coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again, yeah. State your name, big been dope on flame. I just switched the lanes. Damn, he did it again. I just flipped the pain. Stripping and dipping in bass, slab on everything. Swimming, you sinking away, cause I got big racks coming. I put my low racks on it. I ain't skip past losses, I had to get back off it. See the fit lab on it until they whip my coffin. Money clip, I tossed it, I heard it's big bags on big bags on big bags coming. Coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again. Pump up the action. I'm active. If he never heard of been dope, he just napping. Jackson's off the rapping. Keep it on my body, I'm broke if you ask it. Don't gotta sell him, most Cialis flawless. Broken whips as long as it is foreign. Heard you want it cause the yam's enormous. What's in since she isn't gorgeous? Live my life, last name of Morgan Freeman. Trying to touch a forest, do not know when knocking on the door is. Came in, I came in, I came in. Did it like the Porsches coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again. Okay, alright. Coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10, 10, 10, yeah.
What up, what up, what up? How y'all feeling? I'm good, man.
I'm up here lagging, man. I'm up in San Diego, man, getting some sunshine.
Yeah, me too, man.
Oh, y'all both in Cali.
We both in Cali, man. I was just in Malibu earlier, man, and I just shot back to LA where the Airbnb was. So, you know what I'm saying?
I'm in sad Louisiana.
Sad Louisiana. You in the boot, man.
Yeah,
Come on,
man. Y'all see that news happen today on the Shade Room?
What happened?
No, what happened?
A 17-year-old snuck in a 14-year-old house, the second story window with a ladder. Of course, I guess they was gonna have sex, and then the dad walked in, and the 17-year-old shot the dad.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
See, that's why they need to tune into real shit, real estate to learn how to turn his life around.
Easy. Man, now he finna be out of there. Wow.
Oh yeah, he going to jail for murder and statutory rape.
Oh my God.
He done.
Well, you know, we live and we learn, don't we? We live and we learn, man. But on a better note, because that just almost depressed me just real quick. Man.
Let's hype it up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We got something special we gonna be talking about today, man, that I'm really excited about, man. We talking about tax liens, man.
I don't know much about it, so I'm excited.
Yeah, me
This
too.
gem right here.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny because I've always heard about a lot of tax liens. I've actually bought properties that were foreclosed on as a result of a tax lien, right? But I've never actually went down to the auction myself and was like, yo, I'm finna figure out a way to try to make this happen, because every time I would go down there, like I found out, like a lot of times it's a lot more problems associated with those particular properties than just the taxes sometimes. So I was just like, you know what? I just rather get it directly from the seller. You know what I mean? So that was always kind of like my approach. You know what I mean? So, you know, but we finna learn something today.
But listen, man, I want the people in the audience. I want you to start warming it up. I want you to start putting those fire sign emojis, because we got a super guest, and I want y'all to bear with us too, man. Because with us being in different locations, we still gonna have this podcast rolling. But listen, y'all, we got a Milwaukee native, right? Been in this real estate game for over 20 plus years. Began investing in tax liens in 2009. Has completed over 1,000 different tax lien transactions, has helped, you talking about thousands of people learn how to get into the tax lien game. Man, listen, when I tell you how it's one of the #1 tax lien boot camps in the country, without further ado, let's meet the CEO, right, of the tax lien boot camp, Chantelle Owens.
Was good.
What's up, fellas?
Oh man, we are blessed to have you in the building. So I'm excited. How you feeling?
How you doing this afternoon?
I'm awesome. I'm chilling with 4 young, handsome men. I mean 3, but you know, I'm like, okay.
Awesome stuff, man.
So I guess we could start off, you know, tell us a little bit about yourself and when you started actually getting into real estate.
So I got into real estate in 1998.
Wow.
Dang. Okay. That's
my I know, right?
I don't even think I was in school yet.
I'm telling my age here. But I actually started as a credit investor, and a lot of people don't know what that is, so I'll break that down. So I allowed someone to use my credit to invest in real estate. Just like people lend money, I lend my credit. And I made a significant amount of money doing that. My first transaction, I made $8,000. And at that time, I was making $30,000 in corporate America. So I had never literally seen $8,000 at one time. And so,
wow.
You know, I was like, can we do it again? You know, and I did that thing 3 times, and I was like, deuces, corporate America, because I was already almost at my annual salary. And so I just
3 deals.
Yes.
So how exactly is that structured? So y'all form an LLC together, and you just the credit partner. How does that work exactly? If somebody want to do it,
listen, that's how it should work. But I was young. I was in my 20s. I was just, you know, really green, and there literally was no paperwork or anything. It was just somebody asking me to do it. I did it. And I mean, looking back, like if somebody asked me to do that now, I would never do that. But it still is it's a way that a person could get in. But yeah, I had, in looking back, I really didn't, they should have had an agreement, right? Because once I purchase the property, but no, it didn't work like that. But yeah, you could create an LLC, and because I actually bought we on camera, so I can't say that.
Man, oh, that's
Put it out there.
that's a 98. Go ahead and put it
It's
out.
98.
Now, listen.
Yeah, it's over with now.
Right. So I bought the house owner occupied, right? I was going to live in the house. So it wasn't a business loan. It was a residential loan. So, but because at that time, I didn't know anything about business loans, residential loan. I'm just signing my name to get $8,000. But the property itself was it was a residential loan. So, there was no business involved. So basically, I purchased the property. They found a deal. I used my credit to purchase the property. The property went in my name until they found an end buyer. Once they found an end buyer, sold the property, we all got paid.
Gotcha.
So basically, they kind of did like a wholesale deal, kind of.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, that's exactly what they did.
And you was risking it all.
Yeah, I did. I at the time I had a house, I had a car, so I really wasn't using my credit for anything. And I'm from Milwaukee, so in Milwaukee, we buy one house and live in that house forever. Then our kids live in that same house. So, like moving up to a different house wasn't even in my mindset at the time. And I had what I considered a nice car at the time, so I really wasn't using my credit at all. So I said,
Wow.
okay, 8,000, 8 stacks, let's do it.
So tell me this. I mean, so what drew you, what said, okay, I'm finna get into real estate specifically? Because I mean, to go from, say, I'm gonna just let you I'm gonna let you borrow my credit to do this deal so I can make this money. What said, Chantelle, this is what I really want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and try this particular strategy, or just real estate in general from an investment strategy standpoint?
I'm glad you asked that question, because that does need clarification. So, growing up in Milwaukee, I had a cousin, Stephanie, and Stephanie was a landlord. So I must have been 19, she was 27, and I would ride around with her to collect rents. And I thought that was so boss. Like, she had a nice car, so I just really kind of wanted to be like my big cousin. Didn't get into real estate at that, really had an entrepreneurial spirit, though. Knew I wanted to work for myself because I didn't like being in the military. I didn't like working a job. So at the time of working a job, Carlton Sheets commercials used to come on. Do y'all know anything about Carlton Sheets?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that might be like, a long time ago. But anyway, so those Carlton Sheet commercials really got me. And the person that who borrowed my credit, I had asked them to teach me real estate, but of course, they didn't want me to understand the game, because then I could use my own credit to do what they were doing. And so I bought that Carlton Sheets program, and I started doing no money down subject to deals. And so that was my real entry point into real estate.
Whoa.
You gotta talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
That was a big jump.
Listen, y'all, if y'all talk about everything that I've done, we're not gonna get to tax liens, but I'm with it. I'll be here all night with y'all. So
let's talk
got
about
into
that
no money
subject
down.
too, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the subject
Go ahead.
I'm very happy that that's how I started my real estate career, because subject to, especially at that time, because you got to remember, this is in 90, 98, 99, we're not really using the internet. We're door knocking. So that's a whole different ball game. But what it really taught me was the basics and the fundamentals of real estate, and really, boosting my sales skills up, just hearing those no's and developing that thick skin. But yeah, I did no money down deals for 2 years. I would, purchase the properties, with, find distressed sellers, and, basically take over their mortgage and find another end buyer and lease purchase the property to the end buyer. And I would, in the meantime, keep the overage in rents. I would, like, let's say the mortgage was 1,000 and I'm charging them, 1,300. I would keep the 300. They would have to put down a non-refundable option to purchase the property. I would, get a cut of that and give the original seller, a small cut. And, when we actually, a year or 2 years later, when we sold the properties, that's when I would, make my bulk money.
Wow.
So I did that for 2 years. And then while I was doing that, I naturally transitioned into wholesaling. It's just like a natural process because you start to understand the deal differently. You start to come across deals that have equity in it. By this time I had to understood or knew buyers who wanted these properties. So I did wholesaling for 2 years, and then I moved into fix and flip because now I wanted to get more of that money, right? So I moved into fix and flip, and that's where I stayed for a very long time. I thought I was gonna, that was going to be my niche. But I had a mentor at the time who was like, "Listen, you need to start looking at buy and hold." But when you're young, buy and hold is not attractive. It's not sexy. You think you're gonna live forever. You think you're gonna make billions, fixing and flipping. So you don't care about that type of retirement. And so I stayed there for a long time. But one thing I forgot to say is my first year, the market crashed. So when I told my job deuces, we had a market crash, and that was in 2001. So, imagine quitting your job and 9 months later, bottom out, and so that was rough. But I was so determined. I knew I had been bit by that bug, and I knew real estate was really the vessel to get me to freedom. I was still determined at that time to retire before I was 30. So I was like, let me get back in, and that's exactly what I did.
Wow.
Oh, nice. So let me ask you this, Chantelle. So I love it because you got so much experience, within it. Like you said, you were graduating to, from subject to wholesaling to buy and hold. So when you first heard of tax liens, when that first like tax liens, like talk about that transition from what you were doing and going into tax liens.
Well, it didn't happen right away. So the first time I heard about tax liens, I was fixing and flipping. I heard about tax liens through Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he recommended a book called The 16% Solution. In that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and so I went and got that book. I read the book, was excited, could hardly believe like tax liens worked the way they did. And then I went down to Fulton County Courthouse, and I was intimidated. I was like, I'm gonna stick to fix and flipping over here. I mean, you talking about just to find a parking space. I was like, oh my God, this is too much. And then, in Georgia, the tax sale auction is the same day as a foreclosure auction. And so you can have 10 different auctions going on at one time. You got like hundreds of people on the courthouse steps. And, I was totally unprepared, And then when I finally found the tax sale, it was a bunch of, old white men dominating. And every time the auctioneer would call off the winning bidder, they would actually know their name. So it's like winning bid goes to Bob, winning bid goes to, Billy. And I'm like, this is rigged. How do they know their first name, And so I was just out of there. I really gave up, which is really most people experience with tax lien. I gave up, and I didn't really look back at tax liens until about 3 years later when the next market crash happened, right? And I had a property that the banks were going to foreclose on, and they actually never foreclosed. They let the property stay in my name, and that property went into a tax sale. And I'm just going to break the numbers down so you can understand what really made me look at tax liens. So I had originally purchased this property from HUD because that's the niche I fell into in fix and flip, was buying HUD properties. So I purchased the property from HUD for 91.5, right? In my business name. And then I flipped it to myself personally, right? And pulled out the money because it really was cosmetic um, rehab. And, I ended up having a mortgage for $139,000. So
I got
I put a tenant. Go ahead.
I got a question. How'd you flip it to yourself? How'd you do that?
Hey, I get that question so much. This is what we
Yeah, yeah.
did. Like
You can't
like
you can't just
anybody
slide
who
past that. We need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
unpack that.
anybody who was in real estate during that time, you can ask them like, this is how most people get their deals done. So either way, flip it to your business or flip it to yourself. Well, um, I had so many already in my business name, I needed to start using my personal credit. But basically, um, you basically just doing a cash out refi, or you could sell it. Either way, if you could prove to the bank that you're the owner, whatever, you could do it. And but the catch was the only companies that were funding you were companies, adjustable rate mortgage companies. Like that's how we did all of our deals, adjustable rate mortgage, because you could at that time the deal was a lot of companies would let you get up to 10 properties under one business, your personal name, so you could do a lot of properties, and then after 2 years you could refinance into a fixed rate mortgage, right? So a lot of people did that. That's actually what caused the market crash of 2007, was those type of deals, right? Those adjustable rate mortgages. So, um, so basically, I had a mortgage for $139,000, and that was great. I had a tenant in the house that was paying, and then that mortgage rate started to adjust.
Ooh.
And the rents no longer covered the mortgage, right? So that's what happens to a lot of people.
Wow.
So then um the banks basically said that they were going to foreclose, because I had 17 of those same type of properties.
Oh
So I
my
couldn't
God.
keep up. Yes, I couldn't keep up with the mortgages. So this one particular bank didn't foreclose on the property. They let the property stay in my name. Then the property went into the tax sale, and Latasha purchased
Hey.
that property for $2,100 in the tax sale.
Whoa.
At that
Wait, run that back, run
time,
that back.
Hold on, wait.
You gotta say that price for the listeners one more time, the viewers. Hold on, how much?
I know, $2,100.
With a tenant and everything.
No, I had already told the tenant what was happening, and they had already moved, so the house was empty.
That's still 2,100 for a whole house.
And she didn't have any other
Listen,
liens, anything on it after that?
okay, so it was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house at that
Wow.
time. Now, let me just break this down for you. I'm gonna answer your question, but I want you to see the big picture. I have a mortgage for $139,000. The value on the house has now started to depreciate. So the value of the house is $102,000. Tasha purchases the house in the tax sale for $2,100 and gets an instant $100,000 equity. And here I am with a mortgage upside down.
Ah.
Wow.
Damn.
Yo.
So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing something wrong here, right? So
Absolutely.
now in Georgia, the original homeowner, which would be me, has a whole year to redeem that property from
Tasha.
Tasha, right? So I
Uh-huh.
could pay Tasha her $2,100 plus 20%. Now, I was not in a place to even do that, y'all. I was dead broke because all of my properties had foreclosed. I had got out of real estate, lost everything, and was in bankruptcy. So I can't even take advantage of it. But I knew that and understood that because I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad and the 16% Solution. So I knew what my, rights were. But had I not found a way to redeem that property, Tasha would have owned that property for $2,100, and her tax lien would have superseded my mortgage. So she would have been able to foreclose on the mortgage and wipe it out.
Wow.
Y'all hear that?
Damn.
Wait a minute.
I don't know if y'all got that.
Hold on. Wait. Yeah. Let's go back. Let's get a bit. You said okay. Wait. So you said you could foreclose on that mortgage and get it and keep it at the 2,100. How does that process work? Because see, that's what I've always been stumped at.
So that process takes 1 year. So she has to keep it for 1 year before she wipes out your mortgage?
Yes.
And you have Georgia up to a year to redeem the property at the 2,100 plus a 20% on top of the 2,100.
Yes.
So it's like $2,500 basically.
Yes. So, and then if I move into year 2, like let's say day 366, that's considered year 2. Then Tasha would be entitled to 30%.
Wow.
So it's not a bad thing to do because if your 2,100 is in there, you're making money on your 2,100 if they take it back or not.
And that's the point that most people, I can't sell them on that point, but baby, 20% or 30%, if you're getting it on whatever you're getting it on, that's an awesome rate of return. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody can invest all their money and then come up either on a house or 20%.
Or 20%. Is either way it's a win.
In 365 days though. It don't take 10 years. It only takes a year.
Listen, that's the part that keeps most people away is that 365 days. They like,
that's not a long time though.
I could do that. I could do this. And I'm like,
but they don't know what to do with the money though.
Exactly. And what a lot of people don't understand is if you talk to any tax lien investor, they will tell you they have a pipeline. Like they don't have an issue with inventory. Because that 365 days, you're still investing. So when the next year come up, now you're working with those properties, and then the following year, the other properties are coming up. So you always have a continuous pipeline.
Wow. So tell me this then. Tell me this. I got to get this real quick. I got to get this off. So tell me this. How did you how would Tasha get rid of that mortgage though? That's what I want to know. How would she get rid of that mortgage in that situation and keep the house for the $2,100? You know what I mean? How is that possible?
I like that, Byron. Byron said, no, we going back to this point.
Yeah.
Can't miss that.
So first of all, let me just say that tax liens work differently in different states. So just understand that. We're talking about Georgia because we can open it up to some other states because all states don't work like this. So in Georgia, basically what you mostly would do is just get an attorney to foreclose the property for you. So now you have an additional money that you have to outlay, but we're talking like less than $2,000 to foreclose on that property. So it's really it's not your traditional foreclosure where you have to take it to the courthouse steps and cry it again, but you basically are just giving legal notice to anybody on title that their time to redeem is coming to an end. So you have to let them know that, and that's considered the foreclosure of right to redeem. So that process. So that's really what you're doing.
So the person that can redeem it would be you, or would the bank be able to redeem it as well?
Anybody who has a interest in that title. So me, my heirs, the bank, and any other liens on the property. Because any liens on the property have a right to protect the lien by paying the taxes, which is why mortgage companies require an escrow, and which is why they usually will pay those taxes even if you don't.
Gotcha. And tell me this, would that bank in that situation have just went ahead and just paid the
Taxes.
taxes? I mean, no, paid the more. I guess the taxes in that situation.
Would they have redeemed the property?
Yes.
Yes. So it really depends. It's so many variables that go into that. You know, the location, the amortization schedule. Like, have they gotten most of their money? Was there any mortgage insurance premium? Because most banks will elect to just collect the insurance than the property. You know, they're not in the business of property ownership. They want their money. So it really just depends. In this case, the bank had actually went out of business.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Damn. So,
Oh my God. So she was finna walk away with a $2,100 house, but you stopped her though,
four
right?
bedrooms, 4-bedroom house. That's like
Yeah, y'all know
$525 per house per room.
And what was the
So-
motivation? You didn't want to see her win with it, or you just was like, you know what, I ain't finna take this loss.
Let me tell you, that's always my attitude. Like, I'm not really, my competitive spirit is not really about crushing anybody else. It's just about me not losing. Like, I'm just not built like that. Like, could you imagine me right now thinking back on that? Like,
Oh my God.
you didn't go get that money?
The podcast
No,
would
I'm
be
a
different.
hustler. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So
I got a
came
question
up with
for
that
you.
money.
I got a question for you. So you was basically at the lowest point ever in your career at that moment. How did you come
In my
up with the
life.
money in your life? How did you come up with the mindset and attitude to, like, man, she about to get my house for $2,100. I need to get on my job and make this money to, get back on my job and continue on my real estate career. How did you do that?
I was made that way. I mean, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I don't know if you guys know anything about Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but
I just know about the
like
Bucks.
the Chicago. So, I mean,
Yep.
let me just, my
Very
background.
similar.
I grew up in the projects, I come from just a line of strong women, and that whole grit is already in me, right? And then I had already been like, this was the answer to my prayers, because when I had the rental properties, the goal was to pay off the mortgage. So use the tenants, pay off the mortgages in 8 years and have those properties free and clear, because I was trying to set myself up to retire, right? That was my whole goal, is to not have to work a job and have this income coming in. So when I saw tax liens, it was like, okay, I'm cutting the middleman out. I'm cutting these 8 years out. So there's no way, so I basically, because in that year, what I did was I went and took the property back over, because I had that right. I was the homeowner. So I took the property, I took physical possession of the property, and I put a tenant in it. Now, the bank, at the time, I didn't even know they were out of business, but we weren't in contact, and I had no intentions on paying that mortgage, regardless if it was. All I wanted to do was get the property back and then settle that on the back end, right? So that's what I did. I put a tenant in it, and it needed a little bit of work, so I had to scrape up. That's really the money I had to scrape up, was to get the work done, because once I put the tenant in it,
the tenant money paid back the $2,100.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's smart. So I got another question. So you said the bank went out of business. So did the loan get wiped out, or how did that happen? What happened with the mortgage? Because it sounds like you didn't keep the mortgage on the property. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, how that worked out.
Yeah, she's trying to skip over that. You got to pay attention.
Y'all don't let nothing go by the wayside. Okay,
Hell nah.
Yeah, so how that works is there's still a mortgage on the property. It's just not in effect, basically. So if you look on title, it's still there because there was no cancellation of the security deed. However, the mortgage company is just, not there anymore. So,
So they didn't sell that debt? I mean,
no, because you got to remember, this is during This is during the market crash of 2007. You know how many banks went out of business? You know, people just walked away. They just started their life over. You know, it was so many properties, they just didn't know what to do.
They couldn't handle it. Yeah, they couldn't handle it. They was underwater.
So you never paid anything else on this mortgage since?
No.
Wow. Damn. So do you still have the lien of that mortgage, or that's gone too?
Yeah, the lien is still there.
So if you just keep the house, you ain't got to worry about the mortgage.
Exactly.
That is nuts.
It's almost like it's free and clear. Just
you just can't sell it.
Bank is out of business.
She could probably sell it creatively,
I don't need to
but she can't sell it.
I just can't. Yeah, because anybody, like, if you understood the situation and you were willing to buy it, we could do the deal. You know what I mean? So, but I don't sell properties. I haven't sold a property. In the last 15 years, I've sold one property. And the only reason why I sold that property because it was a family member, and you know, my whole family like ganged up on me about it. So I was like, okay, grandma, I sell it.
Wow.
So let me ask you this, Chantelle. So with the win-win part of tax liens, right? Like you said, either I'm making money, I'm making interest on my money, or I'm gonna get a property at the end. And I noticed how you say you create that pipeline. Somebody starting, let's say somebody is brand new starting out. What type of mindset going into the tax liens for them, for them to stay into it? What type of mindset, any pointers? What type of mindset should that person have?
You have to have a long vision mindset. It's not for somebody who wants to get something right now. And that's why most people go to the courthouse steps and they're like, why did that person bid that much for that property? Because that person who bid on that property got a different mindset than you, and they calculate things differently than you. Because one of the things we teach our students is most people understand the MAO, maximum allowable offer concept, but they don't understand the buy and hold concept, right? So a buy and hold person doesn't care about the value of the property. They care about how much income is coming from that property. So they're going to evaluate it based on that. And they may be willing to pay more based on the income that they can get.
That makes sense.
So I would just say you have to have you got to have that long vision, and you got to be a hustler to get into tax liens. Like this, it is not for the lazy. Like if you have a list of 300 properties, in order to successfully get on those courthouse steps and win, you damn near got to look at all 300 properties before the tax sale, because them big boys coming, them hedge funds coming, and the properties those 5 properties that you say you want, and you just go look at those 5 properties, they're gonna outbid you on those properties. So you got to now begin to be creative at what type of property you're willing to invest in. You might have to get a burnout. You might have to, all my tax lien properties. Now listen to me. All of them are in D neighborhoods. But guess what?
Because the hedge funds don't go after those.
Exactly. And guess what? They cash flow
cash flow
crazy.
Cash flow.
Hey,
a lot of people won't
this is one of my
mess
favorite
with D
episodes
neighborhoods because they scared, But like I said, I grew up in D neighborhoods, so I don't,
that's
it doesn't bother me at all, right?
Can you speak to what that kind of cash flow that somebody could receive if they want to invest in a tax lien in a D neighborhood? Like, what would be the cash flow benefits or something like that?
Okay, so I'll talk about my most profitable deal, right? It was in a, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Atlanta, but it was in Decatur, 30032 area. And this area at the time in 2007, the property values were like $30,000, $40,000. Like, drug infested, bad schools, whatever. But my mindset was, if I could get this property, even if it's worth $30,000, I could still cash flow it for, I could bring home $800 a month.
Ooh.
So $800 a month into a $30,000 investment that I probably can get for under $10,000. So I literally
That's a
could
bag.
recap my money back within a year and a half, 2 years. That's how I had to evaluate that, and I had to take the emotion of D property out of there, right? So that's what I did. But and this taught me a very valuable lesson is I started to understand city planning as well. And I kept that property because I saw the city plans and I knew that that area was going to become an area that they were focusing on building out. So I bought 10 properties in that neighborhood and I didn't pay more than $5,000 for any one of those properties. And today, those properties are worth $500,000 each.
Each?
Oh my God. Yo.
Damn.
Yeah, mic drop.
Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back
Hey.
next week for more.
I'm just and
So that's $5 million right there.
yeah. And what's so crazy, y'all, is for a long time I didn't even understand or know that that was happening because again, I'm not even out here looking at values. I just pay me my money every month. The only reason why I knew those properties started to go up because I get like 50 wholesaling calls a day. So, the call started and, the mail came and, sometimes I was getting offers. So the offers started out at like $50,000, right? But then they started to go up to like 150.
You're like,
Then
wait
they
a
started
minute.
to go up to 200. I'm like, 200 as is? Like, this property is not even rehab. So then I started to look at the values and then I started to see like on one block where I had a property, it was 10 rehabs going on. Like, and they was knocking them down doing new construction. So I was like, okay.
Keep
So,
letting my value go up.
yeah. And like that's the cycle with D properties because, a lot of D properties are close to the city center, like downtown area, or they're the next area open for somebody to go in and rebuild.
So a lot of people moved out of the city. Now they're moving back into the city. So that's why a lot of people are seeing gentrification in a lot of different cities right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the higher class.
Yeah, this area is on its like third regentrification.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Oh my
That's
God.
crazy. Man, I ain't gonna lie. This has been my favorite episode so far.
Yeah,
Easy.
this is one of my. I've learned so much, and I know we just getting just. I know Chantelle probably just touching a little bit on that. So Chantelle, I want to ask you this, right? Because what I love about you talked about your students. Can you talk a little bit about your program? And first, I want you to kind of start like what motivated you to say, I need to teach people this. I want you to talk about that, and then I want you to talk about the program as well.
So I'm one of those people who had a calling and I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. And I got really kind of yanked into doing it. One of my friends, she owns a RIA here and she was like, you should teach a class. And I was like, okay, like just really kind of brushing it off. Next thing I know, she had like a date, a flyer. And I was like,
Whoa.
girl, you put my name out there like that? So I had to hurry up and create a class. But a magical thing happened when I taught my first class. Like I saw people's eyes light up. I saw people who had been trying to put a couple of those pieces together. Like was like they were like so appreciative, and so that filled me up because what happens, and this is something I want to talk about because most people don't talk about this is when you become financially free, like you've worked all this time to become financially free. So, let's say that's been 10, 15, 20, 30 years, right? And that's been your whole entire focus. So when you get there, what happens next? Like most people think like, okay, I'm gonna retire, or life's gonna be this, life's gonna be that. No, it's not. You're gonna have to find that next thing that fills your soul or drives you, right? And so when I taught that first class, it was just like, wow, this is it right here. This is the next thing that's going to drive me. Because when I got into real estate, I am not the type of person who loves real estate. I hate to say that. People don't like that. I just saw real estate as a means to
Way
an
up.
end. Right. And that's why I did it. But I've never loved it. It's stressful. It's a lot going on in real estate. So it's never been my love. So when I started teaching, I loved it. I was like, wow, I love this. Just that feeling. One side note is that I'm also a barber. That's what I
Oh
did
wow.
Wow.
Let me
the
find out.
market crashed. When the market crashed, I had to make a living, so I became a barber, and I had got that same feeling. It's like that new haircut feeling. You go in the barber shop and you look in the
Oh, I know
Yeah.
window,
about that.
the barber
I got that
finished,
fresh fade. You
and
feel me?
exactly. Well, the barber feel the same way. Like we get that energy too, right? And so for me, that's what teaching was like. It was like students come in, they look scared, they like, stressed, and then when they get this knowledge, they like, oh, and then y'all, I over the course of the next couple of months, I started to change the class so that we actually take students to auction. And then we would actually go to auction and students would actually win in class. Oh, y'all,
That
it
felt
just,
good.
yeah, it feels good. So, but I've been doing it for a while now. It's a little stressful too, because adult learning, boy, woo, is something else. So, you know, I'm like, okay, what I'm gonna do next? Because this is,
Yeah. A
It's a
lot.
lot of
So
yeah.
patience.
So that's how,
A lot of patience.
I know we didn't touch
yeah.
on it, but how many different markets are you in? Because I know you mentioned Atlanta and you got 5 million over there. So how many different markets are you in?
So primarily, again, I'll keep saying this. I'm lazy, so not lazy, but I'm older. Put it like that. Like the older you get, the less you want to do in terms of hustle and bustle in real estate. So when I started with tax liens, I had already had rental properties before, and I had some rental properties that were 30, 40 hour away. And that created just a lot of hassle, like meeting contractors, meeting agents who would manage the property, meeting tenants or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I want my properties next door. So I literally, everything is in one county. So,
Nice.
but I have invested for other people in other states and counties. So, I'm definitely familiar with that. But I do want to have a portfolio in Milwaukee as well. So that's something that I'll look into. I'll probably won't do anything. I'll probably build a team of students who want to do something, learn, and get a portfolio there. But yeah, so my portfolio is mostly um, here in Atlanta.
Nice.
ATL, ATL. I got another question too.
So
And
can
we
I
got a
don't know.
couple audience
oh, go
questions
ahead,
too.
Nate.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my turn.
Nah, go ahead, jump in.
So tell us the difference between tax lien and tax deed, because I know a lot of people might get that confused and they might think it's the same thing. So if you can, just break it down
Yes.
before we get to the questions.
Okay, sure. So first of all, it's tax liens, tax lien certificates, and tax deeds. Now, most people confuse tax lien certificates and tax liens. They are not the same. The tax lien is the actual lien that's filed in the county courthouse. That's what a tax lien is. Now, how the county sells it at auction or however they sell it over the counter or whatever is either a tax lien certificate or a tax deed. Y'all with me so far?
A little
Gotcha.
bit.
Little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
I'm
let me break
I'm
it
gonna have
down.
to join that class.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
me
because I don't
too.
want to go too far if
Yeah,
y'all get
break
the
it down.
basic
Break it down. Break
concept.
it down one more time for the
Yeah,
slow folk.
you got time.
Okay,
You
all
got
right.
time.
So there's a tax lien certificate, and a tax deed. The tax lien certificate and the tax deed is kind of the conversation we're having now. But those two stem from the actual tax lien. That is what the county, so a person who owes the county money, they don't pay the money. So now the county files a lien against the property, just like a mechanic's lien or whatever, a mortgage lien or whatever. County files its own lien, which is then called a tax lien. So when you hear people say tax lien, that's really what a tax lien is. Now, once that the county files that lien and they are wanting their money, they can sell that lien at auction. Just like a mortgage company, when they want their money, they go sell it at a foreclosure auction. So now the county is selling that lien and they're going to, the person who purchases that lien, the investor, you the investor, you will receive either a tax lien certificate or a tax deed. Now, what's the difference between those two? A tax deed, notice it has the word deed in it, is a conveyance of ownership. So you're going to get a deed to that property. Now, it's not like a warranty deed where you have full ownership, but it's basically saying you have some interest in this property, right? Um, and then um, once you once you receive that deed, you can possess the property. And if you want to sell it, you would end up having to do a quiet title, but you have physical rights to that property. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yep.
Okay. Now, on the other side is a tax lien certificate. It's really kind of the exact opposite. It is saying it does, notice it doesn't have the word deed in it. It just says certificate. And what a certificate is basically a receipt saying that you paid somebody's back taxes and they owe you the money plus interest. So
Sound like that's not the route to go.
yeah, I'm glad you said that because that's what most people think. That is so not true because remember we talked about those interest rates 20, 30.
Yeah, 20% on your money.
Where Byron is, you could get 36% because it's 18% a year and for 2 years. So that's 36%, right? So, huh? In Cook County, yes.
In Cook County?
Yes.
Because it takes 2 years, right, for the properties.
Yes.
Wow.
So
Louisiana's 3 years. You got 3 years to get your property back.
Yeah. So so that's the difference. And then you have one more category, which is called redeemable deeds, which is what we have here in Georgia. So it's a tax deed that you get, but it works very similar to a tax lien certificate in that there's a redemption period and you get interest. So either way, any one of those categories are great categories to invest. Obviously, if you want the property just right away, tax deeds is the way to go. But they typically are going to cost a little bit more for that convenience, right? So then tax lien certificates are great if you want the interest. Like, please don't sleep on that interest. If you have money in your retirement account, let's say you got $100,000 in your retirement account, and you take that and you invest it, and you're getting 30%. Like literally, your retirement is getting 4-6% right now. You're not getting that much money, so that is going to build that nest egg for you. And some people just don't want the headache of dealing with property, so it's still a good investment. And then the redeemable deeds, where you could get the interest or the property. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Wow.
Definitely appreciate you explaining that.
Absolutely. We have a question from Brandon. He says, I have a tax property under contract. My title company told me my end buyer will not be able to get title insurance until 10 years after the tax sale date. Is there any way around this?
Yeah, there's just some companies who, title companies who some won't insure and some won't insure. They'll put that time frame on it. So one, you can find a different title insurance company that understands tax liens and will insure it. And two, I'm not for sure if you've gone through the quiet title process. If you go through the quiet title process, that's a judge saying that you are the rightful owner when you finish that process. So then once you have that paperwork, most title companies will insure it regardless.
Wow.
It's a gem.
Wow.
That's a
That
gem.
was a gem. So wait a minute. So you get the
Now listen, when I go on podcasts with people I like, I just give all the secrets away. Now my students, if they see this, they're
she
gonna be
been
like, okay,
dropping
we
it.
pay money for that knowledge. But no,
Nice.
you know.
Nice. We got another question on here too. Deidre says, so what about amnesty programs for some of those liens? For some of those liens on them, have you ever used them? Like the amnesty
I'm
program?
not for sure what amnesty.
I don't know what that is.
Program is.
I want to say that.
I'm curious though.
Yeah.
Let me Google that
I'm
right
curious
quick.
too. Deidre,
I don't know what that is.
Give us some game
I
on that
may have.
in the comments.
And she has another question. She says, any special strategies do you use to break into the big dogs every now and then? I'm in Virginia. Okay, like any special strategies that you use to kind of break into that, to buying those deals from the big dogs?
Well, I don't buy any properties from anybody. I only purchase on the courthouse steps. But
I think
what
she's
she
saying
was
that, yeah,
asking
outbid them or outcompete them.
Yeah. So yeah, I gave that gem away, which is you have to be looking at properties that they're not looking at, and that's what most people
The
don't want to do.
D-class.
And let me just say, because like remember I talked about the burnout. Most people are like, oh, I wouldn't purchase a burnout, but if you could get the burnout for $2,500, you see what I'm saying? And it's worth
the renovations.
who cares if the burnout? Now you just need to understand new construction.
Absolutely.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow.
So I got a question before we go. So could you do like a cash out refinance on these houses?
Once you go through the full legal process, yes.
Because it seemed like you getting them under $5,000. Because it seemed like you getting them under $5,000 and they're working over $100,000.
Right. So that's what I do. You got a lot of people who buy tax liens and they sell them. They wholesale them or they sell them to a fix and flip. I'm like, why
I'm on your side. I ain't selling shit.
Refi, put a tenant in it, let the tenant pay back that refi, and you still got the asset that when that's done, you can do it again. I just personally don't understand the logic because you literally can get the same amount of money as when you sell it.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And you don't have to pay no tax on that money either.
So Chantelle, talk about somebody wants to get started. I know you all have a webinar, but how can somebody get started today learning from you and from your Fabulous Bootcamp?
So one thing that I'm a big give back person. So, I get a lot of people who ask questions like this, and I like to answer all questions at one time. I don't like a whole bunch of emails, a whole bunch of phone calls. Don't ask me to take me out to eat, none of that. But what I will do is I'll say, look, we got this webinar. If you want to learn about tax liens, come to it. It's free. It's a 3-hour webinar where we just take you through the whole process. You understand tax liens, and you can make a decision on if it's the vehicle you want to use to create wealth. If it is, then we have other classes. We have a 2-day boot camp. We have a 4-day boot camp. We have a 12-week mentorship to guide you through that process. Now, those are paid classes, but you got to come to that first free class. That's the prerequisite just to see if you really want to do tax liens and, if you want to learn from us. And really, if we want to teach you, that's where we figure everything out and then go from there. So our next free class is on the 28th of this month, so next Wednesday. And, you just go to the site and register.
And what's that website?
It's introwebinar.gataxlienbootcamp.com. And it's just easier to go follow us on IG and click the link in our bio. It'll take you right there. We are GA Tax Lien Bootcamp on IG. and everywhere else, really.
Wow.
Man, this has been a phenomenal
Mind-blowing.
episode. We're gonna make sure we have everything in the show notes for everybody, so that way you can follow Chantelle, follow the boot camp, and definitely sign up for the webinar. Chantelle, when I say you came on here and blazes, set this boy on fire, we thank you so much for coming on tapping in with us.
Well, y'all,
This is
I'm
special.
gonna come back and hang out with y'all. I'm gonna come back and hang out.
Oh
with
man, you welcome
we haven't
anytime.
touched on so many things.
Absolutely.
We still got a lot to talk about, so you definitely could come back.
Absolutely.
We do. Because I also do rooming houses, so we can talk about that too.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, listen.
Sound like you got the
Y'all gotta
bag. That's
make
what it
sure-
sound like.
Yeah.
I ain't got
Yes,
nothing.
listen.
That's what everybody with the bag say.
Hey, listen, make sure y'all, not without a doubt, make sure y'all following the queen. Here's the thing, y'all. Y'all got to make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all subscribe to that channel. But episodes like this, we bring you these episodes. We want you to follow phenomenal people like Chantelle, hear their stories, and see how they were able to get through adversity, how they were able to build their empires, and see how they actually have programs to show you how to do the same thing. So with that, Chantelle, we definitely appreciate you for tapping in with us. Fellas, you already know, man, it's been super dope doing this podcast with y'all. We love y'all, man. We thank y'all so much for tuning in. God bless y'all. See y'all next week.
Absolutely. Peace.